Sources say they have informed Pro Bowl cornerback Jaire Alexander of his release.
Nick Chubb expected to sign with the Houston Texans. I don't get it.
Jermaine Pratt has been released or will be released by the Cincinnati Bengals.
It is June, but the NFL dropped a couple player release bombs on us.
Oh, snap.
Jermaine Pratt, no longer a Bengal. Jaire Alexander's been let go by the Packers. Green Bay released Jaire because of injury concerns, and the Bengals parted ways with Pratt because they're incapable of getting out of their own way. Nick Chubb is destined for the Texans. I thought the days of discussing the Browns, Texans, and an unwanted Chubb were behind us. But I was wrong. I'm always wrong, aren't I? Now there's a reason for Jaire's release and possibly valid ones for Pratt's. Where does it make sense for both of those players to go? What are the Packers going to do to replace Jaire? I'll discuss all of that today. Plus, Law and Order Sports returns as PacMan Jones was arrested again. I'm Brandon Perna, and thank you for choosing That's Good Sports, where I'm the first to report everything. I broke the Jaire news, I broke the Chubb news, and now I'm gonna break your spirits. Today's episode is sponsored by Ridge.com/That's Good. Is your dad still rocking the Costanza in his back pocket? I suggest getting him a sleeker, slimmer, and easier to carry wallet for Father's Day. So check out my link below, ridge.com/That's Good, for some big Father's Day sales. And don't forget, Ridge offers NFL wallets like the Broncos powder-coated wallet and the carbon fiber weave Broncos wallet. Ridge simplifies your way too thick wallet and organizes your keys and everyday carry essentials. Ridge has tons of colors, carbon fiber weaves, and premium matte finishes to choose from, and now offer power banks to charge your phone on the go. Those power banks offer up to 3 full charges of your phone and is MagSafe compatible, and all of the cables are stored neatly inside, so never run out of juice, which is a law my toddler lives by as well. The wallets hold up to 12 cards plus cash while staying incredibly slim. The key case holds up to 6 keys and are also available with the NFL logos. I'll never use a stupid key ring again. Those ancient design, stupid, dumb key rings, I hate you, and I'm never using you again because I have Ridge. There's the Broncos. You know who used key rings? Cavemen. The wallets also feature Ridge RFID blocking materials protecting you from digital thieves. So use my link below, ridge.com/That's Good, to get up to 40% off right now at their website. This segment of Law and Order Sports is brought to you by...
You are under arrest.
I'd better call Saul.
And that's why I fight for you, Albuquerque.
Better call Saul.
Guys, if you help me get to 1 million subscribers, one day I can have ambulance-chasing law firms sponsoring this show. That's my dream. 41-year-old former NFL cornerback Adam PacMan Jones was arrested near Cincinnati.
Court documents show he was taken into custody around 1:50 this morning and is accused of public intoxication.
So no charge, in my opinion. Drinking's legal, but being drunk in public's not? Huh? Disorderly conduct and assault of a police officer. Okay, that might be tricky. Now, I think most of us remember PacMan as a really good player who had a habit of running afoul of the law from time to time. Jones has been arrested 4 times since 2021. Pretty impressive numbers at his age. He's also been arrested in 3 different decades, starting in 2005 when he was drafted 6th overall by the Titans. In a lot of ways, he is the Tom Brady of getting handcuffed and put in the back of a police car. And just like when Brady lost, it's never his fault.
How can I best describe him? One time he went to a strip club and a bunch of people got shot.
WLWT former Bengal Adam PacMan Jones arrested this morning after police say he was unruly on an airplane.
Now, the last time we saw him on an NFL field was 2018 when he played 7 games with the Broncos. Believe it or not, PacMan Jones is indeed the last player to wear number 24 for the Broncos, not Champ Bailey. And I don't think Jones is necessarily a bad person. He's definitely not a law-abiding person, but one of the last times we heard from him was when he announced that he was adopting the kids of his college teammate, Chris Henry, who died after falling out of the back of a moving truck in 2009.
Heartwarming, because I know my man up there just sitting up there smiling like, man, I really appreciate you.
Most of PacMan's issues seem to stem from drinking, so I hope he figures that shit out.
It's for my dad, and my dad loves you. And he said, PacMan looked at him and he said, tell that motherfucker I appreciate him.
Former Browns running back Nick Chubb has signed with the Houston Texans, or he's going to sign, joining a backfield with Joe Mixon, Dameon Pierce, and rookie Woody Marks. Don't make a dick joke. Chubb, who will be 30 by the end of the season, suffered a devastating knee injury 2 games into the 2023 season and played 8 games in 2024. I do want to know how much that injury derailed what was looking like an excellent career. Before Chubb went down in 2023, he had rushed for at least 1,000 yards in 4 straight seasons and had a career average of 5.3 yards per carry. Technically, a better run than Jim Brown had on a significantly smaller scale. That won't make Browns fans mad.
Easy come, easy go. You know, it can all be taken away from you very fast.
For context, the all-time leader in yards per carry in the Super Bowl era for running backs is Jamal Charles at 5.4. Chubb, prior to his knee basically exploding, was one of the most efficient running backs in NFL history on a per-touch basis. Unfortunately, in his half-season sample size a year ago, that efficiency was gone. He rushed for 3.3 yards per carry and didn't look anywhere near as explosive as he had been earlier in his career. The question now becomes whether or not he can return to form, splitting carries in the Texans' backfield, or if he's going to be yet another great all-time back whose prime was cut short. The numbers suggest he may have gotten a little burst back later in the season. In his last 2 games as a Brown, he averaged 4.5 yards per carry before sadly ending his season with a broken foot. But if there's anyone I trust to get back in shape quickly, it's a man who's had to go through life with the name Chubb. It's built-in motivation, all right? An actual surprise to me was seeing the Bengals release linebacker Jermaine Pratt today.
This is something we saw coming, something we knew was coming.
What the fuck, Cincinnati? Are you trying to have the worst defense in the league? Are ya? Now, Pratt requested a trade back in February after a career season when he combined for 143 tackles, forced 2 fumbles, and intercepted a pair of passes. One I don't want to remember. Pratt has played in at least 15 games in every season since being drafted in the 3rd round. Pratt's interception of Derek Carr in the wild card round in 2021 sealed the Bengals' first playoff victory since 1991. The Bengals will save $5.85 million against the cap by releasing him, which is still not enough to pay Trey Hendrickson what he wants. If there is a single team in the NFL who could lose 2 key defensive players for no reason other than being cheap-ass bitches, it's the Bengals. A lot of teams will be interested in Pratt's services. One of his strengths is as a coverage linebacker. He has 8 career interceptions. If you're looking for a connection, the Colts make too much sense, as their defensive coordinator is Lou Anarumo, who coached Pratt in all 6 of his NFL seasons with the Bengals. Plus, the Colts have some need for the position opposite Zaire Franklin. Pratt playing next to Franklin would be an elite pairing for the Colts defense. Franklin has recorded at least 167 tackles in the last 3 seasons. Another option might be the 49ers, who made an aggressive push to bring Dre Greenlaw back, but failed to do so because Dre wanted to play for a winner. Pratt had an outstanding season in 2022, pretty good in 2023, and last year, it's hard to evaluate because the Bengals defense as a whole was shit. Some suggest he's on the decline, and that he's had tackling issues the last 2 seasons. Maybe that's true, but it lacks context, okay? He had 19 missed tackles last year. Fred Warner had 18. Zach Bond had 23. It doesn't tell the whole story, but I get what Bengals fans have seen and why they're okay with him going. because Cincinnati did sign Oren Burks this offseason, and he was fucking great for Philly last year. Between Logan Wilson and Oren Burks, the Bengals have 2 solid starters. Now, if the $5.85 million frees up enough in cap space and allows the Bengals to extend Trey Hendrickson, then maybe, just maybe, you can break the curse, Cincy. I also believe Pratt will perform better in an upgraded situation. If Hendrickson, though, also leaves, I will say it's going to be awesome watching Joe Burrow become the first 6,000-yard passer in NFL history, which is the bare minimum he will need to keep that team at 500. And now that I've been fair to the Bengals, I also need to say, fuck those cockknobbers. Pratt asked to be traded in February, and instead, the Bengals held him hostage until June, where his value decreased significantly. Every team faces hard decisions, okay? But none consistently disrespect their players like the Bengals front office. So again, and I'm not just gonna suggest this because Pratt picked off the Broncos last year, but if Denver signed him, I would be ecstatic. It would be nice to have a linebacker who is shown to be durable. Alex Singleton's coming off an ACL tear. Dre Greenlaw's great, but he's had injury concerns. If you bring in Jermaine Pratt for a depth piece, it would be a great addition for an already very dangerous Broncos defense. Now, Jaire Alexander was released by the Packers. That's not a surprise.
And the reality is, for like the last 4 years, Jaire's about half of the games he's been able to play, so kind of we've been used to it.
If your team president flat out says you're used to him not being on the field, that's technically a bad sign.
What the hell is going on out there? Get the F off of our field.
Typically, trades for disgruntled players are executed in March via free agency or April with the draft. And per Albert Breer, the Packers tried it.
The Packers offered Jaire Alexander a reduced, incentive-laden one-year deal that'd make him a free agent in 2026. Alexander turned it down, not liking the structure. Green Bay tried to trade him in March and during the draft.
That's what Breer said, and they failed. Now, the reason the trade couldn't be completed was because teams who were interested weren't willing to pay out his contract. Hindsight is now 2020, and the Packers should have agreed to pay whatever the other team wanted so they could get something in return. Jaire wasn't going to take a pay cut to stay with the team despite missing 10 games each of the last 2 seasons. In fact, Jaire's only played in 1 full season in the last 4 years, which means I show up for clickbait sports more often than Jaire shows up for football games. I'm not saying this is the case, okay? But when you have a guy as talented as Jaire and a team refusing to keep paying him because of injuries, there's kind of this gray area where it feels like the team starts to believe the player should be playing through some of his injury issues versus what the player believes he should be doing to protect his body. The Packers clearly do not believe he's a player that's willing to do whatever it takes to be on the field on Sundays, even if he is a top 5 corner when he's on the field. The top corners are out there for 1,000+ snaps year in and year out. That's the bottom line. Instead, Jaire won't play at all for the Packers in 2025, bringing up questions about their depth in the secondary. Last offseason, another veteran corner with injury concerns, Tre'Davious White, signed a 1-year deal with the Rams. It was $4.25 million, maxed out at 8 with incentives. That's probably close to what Jaire will get, especially if he signs with a contender. Jaire was slated to make $17 million per year over the next 2 seasons, but since none of that was guaranteed, he is now on a mission to recoup that $32 million. His question becomes, how? A bad team, or maybe just a needy team, might pay him more right now. If the Dolphins say trade Jalen Ramsey, maybe they give Jaire a multi-year contract right now and assume that injury risk. Or maybe Jaire takes a 1-year deal with a contender and balls out and nets himself another and likely last multi-year deal in 2026. Now, I doubt Miami, who has been riddled with injuries on defense, pays him what he's craving right now, but it's an example since the Ramsey trade is looming in the shadows. The Packers are going to take on a dead cap hit of $7.5 million and $9.5 million in the next 2 years, but save roughly $17 million in cap space for 2025 2025 and 2026. Are the Packers going to target a free agent corner to replace Jaire right now? Well, they have $45 million in cap space. My guess is they bring back a guy like Rasul Douglas on a one-year deal and save that cap space to possibly go after disgruntled Trey Hendrickson in an aggressive trade move. Just kidding, Packers fans. You're getting James Bradbury and nothing else. Green Bay will be relying on newly acquired corner Nate Hobbs plus Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine to be their starting trio of airball defenders. I think Valentine has potential to be Green Bay's corner number one, a lockdown guy. He's just 23 and didn't allow a single touchdown last year while also grabbing 2 picks. The conundrum for the Packers really comes in the slot. Hobbs and Nixon both played the best as slot corners, so who can move into that CB2 role is the question. If they can get him for cheap, Asante Samuel is an option for the Packers as well. He's coming off a neck surgery, but offers similar upside if he proves to be healthy in 2025. Plus, if he stays on the field, he's a guy you could bring back for multiple seasons as he's only 25. What teams might actually sign Jaire right now? Well, if you check Twitter, every team's interested in him. He really is that good when he's on the field. To torture Tom Grossi, though, I'd love to see him go to a division rival. Tom was thinking about the Vikings signing him all morning on GPS, but the most deadly signing would be the Lions. Detroit has the second most cap space in the league right now. They could actually overpay Jaire on a one-year deal, and the injury-prone Jaire Alexander could join last season's most injured defense. What could go wrong? Seriously, though, I love Detroit bringing him in for 2 reasons. I think Jaire will play most of the season because he's going to try and get paid again. Detroit will not pay him next year because they have no money in 2026 at the moment. And Terrion Arnold has a lot of room to grow after a pretty average rookie season. I like Arnold's potential, but there was plenty to be desired, specifically when you compare Arnold to other top corners drafted in 2024. Quinion Mitchell, Nate Wiggins, Kamari Lassiter, Cooper DeJean all outperformed him. If Jaire even gave the Lions just 10 games, they'd be better off than they were last year in the secondary. And if he's healthy, dear God, a storm would be brewing with Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch behind him.
Love? Stand in the pocket, rolling out to his right, and throws an interception. It's gonna be a pick 6.
The Lions have some of the worst odds, though, to sign Jaire in terms of possible interested teams. The 49ers, who certainly need help in the secondary, are tied with the Raiders at plus 400 to sign Alexander. The Niners make a lot more sense if Jaire wants to join a team that should be considered a contender. But if spite is a motivating factor, Jaire joining the Raiders, pretty funny. It would be a great way to stick it to the Packers, who gave Nate Hobbs a 4-year, $48 million deal this offseason, who's coming over from the Raiders. But since I don't want Jaire in the AFC West, I'll nix that idea right now. Then you got the Vikings, Ravens, and Commanders, who all have about $20 million in cap space. All of them are in contender windows. I'm going to rule out the Commanders right away. They drafted Trey Amos, who maybe the Packers should have considered. Plus, they need to pay Terry McLaurin and are already paying Marshawn Lattimore. That leaves the purple teams, right? Fuck, man. Minnesota has Jeff Okudah on the roster behind Isaiah Rodgers. If you're in the take a flyer on Jeff Okudah department, you're in the consider a perennially injured Jaire Alexander for a year department as well. If Minnesota signs Jaire, it means they believe they can win a Super Bowl with J.J. McCarthy this year because Minnesota is $52 million over the cap in 2026. For the Ravens, as much as I love former CU buff Chidobe Awuzie, Jaire would be an upgrade and a final chess piece for what would be an insane secondary. Wiggins in year 2, Marlon Humphrey, rookie Malachi Starks, and Kyle Hamilton. It would make the Ravens my AFC Super Bowl favorites, honestly, if they signed Alexander. Then you have the Patriots, Chargers, and Eagles, all listed as possible destinations as well. All of them make sense, but this feels like a move that's going to bite the Packers in the ass in 2025, but long term, it's probably the correct move for the Packers. If there is a God, Jaire will actually just sign with the Steelers and help Aaron Rodgers beat the Packers this year, and both teams will miss the playoffs regardless. Once the Steelers realized they're out of the playoffs, they released Jaire Alexander, who is then picked up by the Vikings or Lions for a playoff run.
What the hell is going on out there?
Huh? Thanks for watching That's Good Sports. Please subscribe here on YouTube. And thank you, NFL, for giving us quite a bit to talk about on a Monday in June. The timing was very nice. Very, very fortunate.